Well, considering Waco didn't want Hooters in town, so they stuck it out by the highway.
And they did not do well with slow hose. Yeah, the burger place. They really did not handle faux burgers very well either.
Waco doesn't handle a whole bunch of stuff.
Not well.
Not well.
No.
sorry. Hey, I can't help it. I was taking a drink of my tea. Hello and welcome to the first ever Waco Tea and Book Club live feed interview. So, my name is Brandi Gibson. I am one of the co-admins for the Waco Tea and Book Club here in town. And we were supposed to get together and talk about the first book in my series, the not Dresden Files, I'm sorry. See, this is what I get. This is what I get when I am nervous.
She's talking about the dark side, which we're going to get her into if she doesn't get book 2 up to me soon.
I am working on it, but
not fast enough.
Anyway, okay. But no, we're going to talk about my book, Dark Side, the first novel in the Unexplained Case Files series that's based here in Waco. We're also going to be talking a little bit about tea. Not too much today as far as tea. I'll just give you a little bit of a rundown of what I'm using. It is today's teas, at least for me, is honey lavender stress reliever and throat coat. Both are from Yogi Tea. You can find them in any major store. Works really well, especially the throat coat, because it helps with the inflammation and the scratchiness. But we also have, I believe you said your tea was...
I like Twinings, English breakfast, or Irish breakfast teas. If you put a little bit of sugar, a little bit of milk in them, it makes them yummy. I, on the other hand, put just a teeny tiny bit of sugar in it, and I'm done. I'm a purist. But that's neither here nor there.
See, I'm a purist in the way of I don't like anything in my tea hardly ever unless it comes naturally sweetened, like this one, because the stress reliever has the honey, which gives it a little bit of flavor. However, I want to point out some wonderful teas done by a company that is not very well known. They're called Dryad Tea, and they have built up various lines of teas, one especially for Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files. I have 2 here with me. One is called Dresden, and the quote is, "The building was on fire and it wasn't my fault," which he likes to say often. It's a smoky black tea with a hint of sweetness and spice. When they say smoky, they do mean smoky. It's really good though. That one I'd probably recommend with like a little bit of something sweet, just to counterbalance all that smokiness.
Or a little brandy.
Yeah, either one will work.
Yeah.
And then the other one I have here is Winter Court. It's a rose chai, which I didn't use anything in when I was drinking it.
Chai tea is normally sweet anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Dresden would probably be good for a hot toddy.
Oh.
You add a little whiskey.
I'll have to try
Start
that.
with a cinnamon stick. Yeah. Go. The building's not on fire. It's not my fault. I don't care.
Okay.
So, okay, we're here to talk about your book.
Yes, ma'am.
That I read in 3 days. And immediately sent her a text and went, "Where's book 2?"
Yeah, she did that.
And I have not patiently, asked for, where's the next installment? I'll proofread it so that we can get it done faster. You know, whatever it is we need to do to get this along. Do I need to cook? Should I send food? I mean, what, you know?
Oh, nothing says please write more than like casserole, because that seems to be the thing for everybody to send, whether it be a funeral or a celebration, is casserole.
Well, I could make you kolaches or cinnamon rolls.
I will take either one of those.
Well, then I will put you on my Christmas basket list, because some people came off this past year, so I'll be more than happy to put you on.
Cool.
Okay. So, all right. First off, tell me the inspiration that said, I'm going to write a book that rivals J.K. Rowling's longest Harry Potter book possible. And I'm going to make it to where once you hit about page 2, you can't put the book down.
Well, the writing part came from way, way, way back. I think it was 5th grade. I actually wrote this little, I would call it pitiful, little flip book that was in the school library for a little bit on that, the wooden rack where all the big books are. That's where the librarian put it. That was my first unofficial published book.
Right.
But I've always liked writing.
Well, I knew that about you.
Yeah, I write poetry every once in a while. I journal. But as far as writing about something like this, it didn't hit me as a why not until I think it was college. That was a kind of a little bit of a rough time. College was, and I started writing. Alan was a character that was created in high school when a friend of mine and I used to swap stories during lunch periods, and I broke him apart, and then I remade him into something else because I wanted him to be a detective. And the detective part took off, and I just kind of followed.
Well, it's kind of like I told you earlier. I could hear your voice and your actions coming through. I could hear you giggle at times when you wrote it. It was fun knowing Waco. I'm born and raised Waco. To read the book and go, oh, I know where that's at. She blew that up. Well, that wasn't very nice. Things like that, and then it was like, oh, I want to go out there and see where the bodies are. So how did you come to see some of these places and go, that's a good place to put a body out, or I could do a battle out there, or I wonder if this lives out there in this old building. How did you come to those?
The book actually takes place, it doesn't take place in 2020. It takes place, I believe I said it in 2010, which is not long after I got out of college, and not a lot of things had moved and buildings were still there. And Waco was easy for me to map out because, one, I had a map. I sat there and I traced the lines of where things were, and I could drive around and go, oh, hey, look, there's that. Yeah, that's a construction site. Hey, I wonder if that blows up easily. And I'd go and ask one of my friends or look it up online. That's one thing. Do not look at my browser history. I swear I'm a writer, not a serial killer.
We were just talking about where to hide bodies. So I'm just saying, anybody who is a fan of NCIS, meet Abby.
No.
So, but it was fun to read your different descriptions of where people lived. And going, in my mind, I know where that's at. Oh, I know where, she blew up the Cameron house. I know where that's at.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
See, I did. And then also, how did you draw inspiration for your characters? Where did those come from?
Alan was I already said Alan was a character I'd already created and tried writing every once in a while. Maggie and Zach. Maggie was inspired by one of my best friends. And then Zach, I actually borrowed from Danny Phantom. I borrowed aspects of him from Danny Phantom, which will come out later. But
thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Small spoiler. Small,
okay.
That big.
Okay.
But no, Zach. Alan needed a sidekick. One that would basically keep him alive throughout the entire book.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you know what? He needs somebody that knows the medical field, but they're not gonna, throw him in the hospital if he gets too injured.
I like that, too injured.
Too
Yeah.
injured. He doesn't get. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah.
But
What the heck? If he can go sleep upstairs, he's good.
oh yeah, he's limp up the stairs.
Yeah.
But so I came up with the idea of a corner because if Alan ever leaves the police department, he still has somebody that he can go to and say, "Hey, did you get so and so corpse? You know, where is it? Don't show me. Just point to the freezer that it's in." Maggie, he needed a fount of information, and that's exactly what Maggie is. She is a never-ending fount of supernatural information.
She hit me as a combination of two people you knew. With
Oh.
a little bit of a dash of a third.
Oh, really? Because she was only based on one, but okay.
Oh, I got the feeling of three.
Okay.
Of course, I'm looking at y'all from a different eye.
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying? And it was fun for me. I enjoyed Maggie. Maggie tickled the heck out of me. Who was your favorite character to write, and do you have a backstory written for them?
My favorite character to write, besides Alan, is Maggie. It's Maggie and Zach.
Uh-huh.
I know a little bit about them because they haven't.
They're not
talked.
a couple.
No, they're not a couple, and they haven't what I call talked. They haven't said much to me yet.
Mm-hmm.
In the upcoming books, they'll play a bigger role, and I'll slowly flesh out their backstory as it comes to me.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys know as much as I do. Maggie was Alan's known Maggie since high school.
Right.
He's known Zach since college.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Maggie's the only one I believe that knows more about what's happened with Alan than Zach does.
Who was your hardest character to write?
Oh my gosh, the hardest character? It's gonna sound really weird, but probably the bad guy. And I'm saying the bad guy because I don't know how many of you have actually finished yet.
I was gonna say pick one.
Yeah, he has a couple. No, Riley O'Hare was one of my other favorite ones to write.
Mm-hmm.
But making sure that he was a part of the book and yet still had that mysterious air, because Alan doesn't know anything about him, hardly. That was also kind of hard.
The last page got me. That was the reason I sent the whole "Where's book 2?" You know, when the table was turned, shall we say? I'm not going to give anything away.
So to say which table, there's like
No.
a whole bunch of
The
them.
last page.
Oh, that one.
The last page. I literally dropped my Kindle on the bed and went, no. Where's book 2? I need to read this. I need a chapter. Give me something. So, where did that... I'm not giving anything away.
I'm going to try my best not to, either with my response.
How did you do that? Where did that come to you at?
The twist at the very end, because I already know what's going to happen books away.
Mm-hmm.
And Alan ended up being such a fleshed out character after a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
I had to regress him. So you guys are seeing him in like his infant stage, where he doesn't know that much about it. What's going on.
Yeah.
And for him to make the crucial pivot points along the rest of the book series, he has to have certain people to depend on, certain things that will make him not happy. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And what happened at the end, because there was many things that happened at the very end of the book. The last section that you're talking about is a very crucial pivot point
Yeah.
later on in the series.
Well, I think I sent you that text at what, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning?
I didn't look at it until I got up the next day.
I was up because I had reached the point where I was like, no, I don't need to sleep tonight. I'm going to finish this book. And I did. And I hit that page and I dropped the Kindle, picked up my phone, immediately sent a text, didn't care if I woke her up. I said, where's book 2? And I have pestered her on Facebook. I send texts. I haven't phone called yet.
No,
I haven't done that yet.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. But, yeah, it's hard to talk about the book and not give parts of it away if people haven't read it all the way through.
Okay.
But anybody, even if you're not from Waco, you're going to feel the town. You did a very good job of fleshing out Waco.
Waco has a very specific vibe
Mm-hmm.
once you've lived here a couple years
Mm-hmm.
of, hey, yeah, we're all divided. We have our own little certain pockets,
Mm-hmm.
but there's an undercurrent of this is what we are. This is how strange this town can get. And if
It's
you
the lake water.
yeah. Alan has a view on the lake water, and it's the same as mine.
It's nasty.
Well, yeah, that too. Radioactive, if you want to get technical.
Mm-hmm. Bottled water. Always and forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the book did a good job of taking you along.
Thank you.
How did you come to write it first person?
The first person writing was a lot of trial and error. I ripped up so many notebooks because third person didn't feel right. And I tried third person several different ways. It's how I normally write is third person. It's what I'm comfortable with. And then I tried first person and everything clicked. And he went, okay, let's go. And I'm like, okay, this is new. I don't like this, but okay. But first person now for this series works rather well because it allows me to get inside Alan's head a little bit better and not make it so much about Maggie or Zach or Riley or any of them. It makes it more personal, at least, because it's Alan's journey through all of this.
Well, you feel like you're in the car with him. I mean, truthfully, to me, sometimes I felt like I was having a Dr. Pepper with him. There's a plug for Wake Up. You know, having a Dr. Pepper with him, and he's telling me the story, and I have enjoyed first person. You write it well.
Oh, thank you.
Some write it horribly. You don't.
That's good to know.
I have to ask, who's his mother? Without giving anything away.
I really can't tell you much about Valerie DeCourt without ruining everything for later.
Mm-hmm. Did you know she was going to be who she is?
No, not at all. I tried to... The reason why she is not alive in this series is a prologue to what made Alan the way he is. And the way he thinks and the way he acts and how serious he takes his job as a police officer of this town.
Right.
And his upbringing played a crucial point. Whether or not that comes out later in the series is going to be interesting. I hope it does, because it would give would give him something to think about.
Would we get her backstory? Will there be a book that's strictly about her?
Oh, I don't know. She's not really a talkative character.
Not yet.
Not yet, no. She kind of like pops in every once in a while and then goes away.
Will we ever go back to his family? He
Oh,
brings
yes.
up his family a lot and how dysfunctional they are.
Oh, yes. His family will show up. And with Alan's luck, in the worst way and the worst timing possible.
Well, duh. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But it was knowing who you are, some of the writing, I would go, well, I never would have thought this with Brandi. But
It was a lot of research.
oh yeah, keep that story up. That's good.
I'm sticking to that one.
How many gallons of tea and coffee and stuff did it take you to write this book?
Let's see. Over half of that was written at Starbucks.
I was going to say, which table is yours?
I'm not going to tell you. But
Do you have a particular Starbucks you like better than others?
the only Starbucks that I have been at has been the one over on Bosque in front of the Target. And
Do they know what you do?
oh yeah, they know what I do. At one point, I had a conversation with several of them about what I was doing, and they're like, "Oh, hey, cool. Are you gonna mention us in there?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll mention Starbucks. Don't worry."
Oh, and it was hysterical too, I might add, because I went into Starbucks and went, I wonder which one it is. That gives you kind of a weird feeling to try to figure out who you base that character off of.
He was actually not based on anyone in there. Just more of I needed somebody to be there because Alan runs on coffee. His life is based on crime solving, coffee, and insomnia at the moment. So he goes there, he gets his coffee, and then he goes to work because, well, half the time he'll probably end up exploding something in his kitchen.
I would figure over half the time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even bother putting in a kitchen if I were him. Just do an outdoor grill area so when it goes up, who cares?
Well, his kitchen gets destroyed, so that's a plus in his favor because he doesn't use it that much anymore.
No, that's true. But when they blew out the front window, that was sad.
Oh.
Where is the neighborhood? Or is it a conglomeration of a lot of neighborhoods that you invented where Alan lives?
If I had to pick where Alan lives, he technically lives downtown on Austin Avenue. Because I was driving one day, I forgot where from, probably from the library, and I saw one of the houses, and it was dark wood and brick, and had this wonderful window in the front, and I'm like, I like that house. Of course, I did make up the street name.
Yeah.
I made up the street name. I made up the address so poor people aren't harassed. And
like I said, it was fun to figure out where is this, where is that. Well, why didn't? Okay, well, yeah, okay. Where's Maggie's shop?
Maggie's shop is actually renamed from a shop that was downtown on Franklin. It's called Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And that's where her shop is. It's Maggie's Magic Shop or something like that, I believe.
Yeah.
But I based it off of that because they are one of the few places in Waco, or where that had stuff like that on the occult. They had pendulums, they had incense, they had all kinds of stuff.
Awesome.
I got half of my incense from there, so I miss them. I miss them a lot.
Oh yeah.
But they closed down. They closed down, so I ended up.
We need another one.
Yeah, but I did use that for an example for her shop. Only the difference is her shop is standalone instead of attached to all the other buildings.
Yeah.
And it's configured a little bit differently inside.
I picture her more downtown now. When I was, but not so much where the silos are, but more. I saw it more on Austin, Franklin, Washington in my head.
Okay.
Again, being from here forever.
Well, the fun part about writing about a building in a undisclosed location in a town that people know, they're going to think, oh, hey, well, that's probably all the way down here. That's this direction, unless I give you a specific street name.
Well, let's all of us pick where it should be.
Which is fun, because I actually had a friend of mine, one of the other characters, not in this series, but another character I have, she pictured him completely different from me. Yeah, that was fun. That was a very fun argument we had in high school. It's like, wait, no, his hair is white. Like, no, darling, his hair is black. He doesn't have white hair.
No.
But no, it's lots of fun. And the books will change, the descriptions will change as we progress from 2010 on into
present day.
Yeah, present day probably.
Yeah.
And if not present day, I'll probably, I will try to say a year as to where the time frame is.
Yeah.
Because I have a specific timeline I'm trying to go by, so I don't get confused.
So you do have a timeline. Do you have an outline? Do you write by outline, like, okay, this chapter is this, and this chapter is this, and this chapter is this, which I do not picture happening. But,
I've tried that. I'm one of those weird people that even in school, I could not write outlines. So I'm trying to do it kind of with an outline, at least for a certain amount of, you see, you're laughing at me already, for a certain amount of chapters in the new book, and see how it goes. And then if it doesn't work, I'm just going to run. I'm going to take what I have and run. So.
Do you have a character Bible?
I was actually talking about that with my illustrator last night. I was like, I need like a binder full of character sheets, of character bios and this and this. But I actually do have a binder that has stuff on Maggie, on Zach, and Alan. It's at home. It's a big, thick 3-ring binder about that big.
Okay. So you know their backstories. Do you know their futures yet?
I know those 3.
Okay.
And
so you know where they're going.
I know where they're going, yeah.
Okay.
I know where they're going. But that binder that I have, it has, I even have boards on Pinterest devoted specifically for them. So I'm not scrambling all the time. It's like, what color was Maggie's hair this week? Like I did when I was writing. Because she changes her hair every other week.
Oh, gee, I wonder who that reminds you of. I'm not even going to say. No, we'll keep that one to ourselves, shall we?
She has good taste.
It's not me, but that's where she gets it from. Well, do you see the second book taking you as long as the first book, since you've got the at what point in this book, when you were writing this book, did you say, I have a book, that this has gone from writings to a book? Where were you in that process?
That process probably hit me around the time one of my friends passed away. He and I had been hanging out one weekend, and I left, and then 2 days later I got the news that he passed away. And the last thing that I remember us planning was to go to a Comic Con, didn't matter which one, whether it be San Diego or Dragon Con, to meet Jim Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went, okay, I have a book. I made a promise. And I started hardcore writing. Now, it took me, like 4.5 years, something like that. It took me a while because of personal things that popped up, changing jobs, and just finding time to write. But I did get it done. And I felt very accomplished. I did not have a copy in my hand when I went to Dragon Con last year, but I did get to meet Jim Butcher, and I was very, very excited.
Yes, your Facebook kind of blew up over that time.
Yeah, I do not apologize for that. I do not apologize for that at all.
Did I say you had to apologize?
Nope.
No, because I would have been just the same way, fangirling all over the place. Yes.
Yeah. I see. Here's the thing, though. I had something to give Jim and Kitty, his wife, and I had told a couple people in line for the second panel what I was doing, and so we all sat together. And then at the end of the panel, they looked at me and went, "You got something to give him, don't you?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah." Like, go, push the chair out of the way and go. So I went up there, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna give this to Jim." And he was talking to somebody, and I didn't want to interrupt. And then I saw Kitty and went, "Oh, I'm going to go to Kitty." And I went over to his wife and handed it to his wife. I was a coward, and I don't care. It got to him.
That's all that counted, isn't it?
Yes. That's all that counted.
And someday somebody will do the same to you.
Oh. And I'm going to end up in tears because I'm just that much of a softie.
You know, one day you're going to be sitting at a con and some person in the audience is going to go, "I have to meet her."
Oh.
You know, do you see the time that you'll ever be a full-time author, writer, where you go in the office at 9 in the morning and you don't come out until you've written X number of words or X number of pages or whatever?
I want to say soon, but as my mom has always told me, you have to have an actual job and a steady income in order to get to the other thing that you want to do.
That's it.
So my plan was that after the book release, which was in November of last year.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I know. My book will be out for a year this year in November.
It seems like it was like 17 years ago.
But the plan was to attend conventions over 2020.
Yeah.
Just to try and get myself out there and things like that. But then the world went nope and kind of threw the table in the air. So
yeah, it threw a temper tantrum.
Oh yeah, it's still throwing one.
Yeah, Mother Nature needs to get laid. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. It's accurate.
Yeah.
I call her bipolar all the time, but we live in Texas.
Well, she is bipolar, north-south. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
But, no, if everything settles down enough to where open conventions, not online ones, actually happen, I would like to attend at least 2, maybe 3. And, of course, with a co-pilot, someone to make sure that I actually, eat and sleep and don't fall apart. They'll all be here in Texas. I would love to go to Dragon Con and be in that one, but that one scares me. It's huge. I'm like, I will feel like a tiny fish in this huge pond. Like, I'm good.
It's okay to be a tiny fish in a huge pond. Everybody was once.
Yay.
And you have to remember that. As somebody who is, okay, you will understand this. As somebody who is found out that life is very short. You've lived that in your own home, in your own life.
Yeah.
With close family members and friends.
Yeah.
Life is short. And you have to grab it while you can. If you had the opportunity next year to go to Dragon Con, would you?
Yes.
And be a panelist?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Whoever has connections. Okay, we're gonna make her do this.
Oh my gosh.
What about San Diego?
No. I wouldn't do San Diego.
Why? You ever been?
I've never been to California. I've never been anywhere along the western coast.
I would love to go to San Diego's Comic Con.
Okay. It's like a feeding frenzy over there as far as tickets.
Oh, I know that. I'm looking for a wealthy benefactor who would like to adopt a 61-year-old woman and send her to Comic Con.
Oh my gosh.
Why not? Life's short. I would go. I'll go be your co-pilot.
You'd be a great co-pilot.
I would be a great co-pilot. I'd be going, yeah, go do it. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. Just not really. Yeah, just leave the chapters of the book with me, and I'll keep reading.
Yeah, you've already claimed the spot of proofreader.
I have claimed the spot of proofreader. That's my job. You know.
I do not mind because while I love to write,
Once you're done with it, you're done with it.
once I'm done with it, I'm done. But also my spelling and grammar, I struggle with. I'm not going to even lie about that. I have problems with spelling and grammar, but that's what spell check and dictionaries are for.
So that's what people like me are for.
Yes.
That is what I would do.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm remembering part of the book of sitting on the back porch after the whole front of the house is blown to pieces. And you've got everybody sitting in chairs and on the steps and
Yeah, I almost want to sit on the steps, yeah.
yeah. Everybody's blown everything up. And there's like a convent going on. I had the feeling of familiarity with that. I had the feeling that you have sat in that place many times.
Just sitting on the porch.
Having a confab with those who've driven you crazy or are driving you crazy and those who are supporting you terribly.
Yeah, I've had one of those. Most of the time it wasn't even on a porch. It was one of those things of go in the bedroom and shut the door so mom doesn't hear, and then we just talk. As we got older, it ended up it migrated from the bedroom to the living room and then to the kitchen because everybody gathers in the kitchen. And we'd sit there, I'd jump up on the counter and we'd sit there and talk.
Okay. I had that feeling.
Yeah.
You know.
It's also like a very southern thing, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Yeah. I think so. You know, but throwing people in the dumpster and having them blow that up, that was just kind of mean.
It was either that or Alan was going to get squished.
Yeah, there was a couple of those.
There was a lot of those.
There was a couple of those, yeah. You know. But he was an interesting character. I look forward to him finding out more about his family history. That intrigues me very much, as it will you. And seeing where it takes him.
Well, his family will play various roles, both knowing about them and getting to see them again. He'll find out things later that he never knew.
Right.
And there'll probably be more explosions and yelling and various Alan type things. Because that's how he communicates, apparently.
And it works. It's an explosive vocabulary, but it works.
It works until he says the wrong thing to Maggie. And then he has to go pay tribute to Maggie by way of, Sonic slushies. And yeah, that was a fun part to write. because I actually took that scene out of a TV show.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. Nobody cares if you filched.
Well, I forgot who said it, but I remember reading something where it says, good authors borrow.
Mm-hmm.
Great authors steal.
And you are. And I look forward to watching your progression. Now, will it only be, are you only writing Alan right now? Or are you branching out into other books, other series, other
Oh my gosh.
genres?
Alan is the main one that I'm focused on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have over half of another book written with a co-author. And due to their computer failing, we haven't been able to get back on the same track because I don't even know where I saved my half of it.
That's not good.
No, it's not good. But I'm going to flip through and see if I can find it so I can go over it again. But I have an idea for, I think it was a superhero series. I have an idea for, it was superhero. One was a fantasy series with one of my D&D characters and two other people who were gracious enough to go, yeah, sure, here, take them, go. And I actually have the outline of a really, really, in my opinion, horribly written space story that I'm going to have to revisit soon too. So,
Calling to you in your sleep, are they?
they call to me in various ways, and I have to tell them, look, guys, one at a time. Because the characters in one book, they don't have the same attitude as the other characters. And until I can write multiple series at one time, I have to work one by one. Because if I don't, personalities are going to cross over. And it's going to take me forever to get this particular group out of my head. Because, like, that's not, no, Maggie wouldn't say that type of deal.
Do you ever find yourself, like, in HEB talking to Alan or talking to Maggie or talking to Zach out loud?
I've had various scenarios go through my head when I'm in HEB or when, strangely enough, I walk into a high school or a school in general and think, you know, I wonder how fun it would be to put Alan undercover in a high school or in a middle school. Because, you know, he's about that height. I get the weirdest stares in HEB sometimes because I'm standing there going, hi. And they just kind of move on and probably think I'm nuts. Which is, I'm fine. Whatever.
Do you find when you're driving that you're riding on the windshield and not paying any attention to what's going on around you?
No.
And thank God your subconscious drives you home?
No. I haven't had that happen yet.
Prepare yourself.
Yeah. But I do have playlists that I listen to. And if a certain song comes on, I'm like, oh, well, this would fit good here. I'm not there yet. Why are you doing this to me? And kind of push it out of the way, and then when I get home I write it down with, you know, whichever book it's going to be in. Because I try to make a playlist for each book. Like, the current one has a lot of pop music, which really isn't my scene. Pop, techno, stuff like that. But it has to do with what's going on in that book. Like all the like old detective noir, gumshoe jazz type deal.
Yeah.
That'll be in one. That's actually in book. That should be in book 3. Because of what's going on in there. So
I can picture that music was Alan easily.
Oh, some of them are, but
It fits him.
yeah, he very much likes to be considered one of those old school black and white detectives.
Mm-hmm.
Or Batman. He likes Batman.
He does.
There's a lot of Batman references.
You know. But he lives in an attic.
He likes living in the attic.
I know. You know, he just needs. You ever see Alan having a significant other?
No. Not at the moment, at least.
Does he have his hands full? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
he has his hands full trying to figure out what the heck is going on
Yeah.
and how to solve mysteries that end up in his lap
Mm-hmm.
without telling the rest of the world, hey, look at this weirdness, because he doesn't do spotlight very well.
No, he really doesn't. God love him. He really doesn't. Well, I look forward to following and seeing where he goes.
I look very forward to the immediate review after 3 days.
I'll give it to you after each chapter as I proofread it, you know. All you gotta do is just give me a book and I'll proofread it and give it back with notes and we'll go from there.
I'm working on it. I got like middle of chapter 4.
See, send me 1, 2, and 3 and I'll already go ahead and have you done.
That would entail like separating it from chapter 4, because I write in composition notebooks. I take and I like chop them in half and I wrap them all up. So what I'm writing in right now is about that thick.
That would not work.
No.
Who does your?
My typing?
Yeah.
Me.
Oh no, I'll take care of that. You just give that to me. Because then, see, I won't remember it. Remember? We talked about this. If you printed it, I won't remember what I've typed. I have to read what I've typed. So see, you could let me do that and then I wouldn't remember anything.
I would, except what is written in the notebook does not always make it onto the screen, because I tend to, the way I work with the composition notebook are bones.
Yeah.
The meat and hair and skin all come in when I put it onto the computer. And most of the time that's fine. But there's other times where it's, okay, this isn't going to work. What did I have a bad day when I was writing that? I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Because there were a few scenes in this book that took me forever to write, because I'm sitting there going, how can I, that doesn't make any sense. What was I doing? There was a lot of times where it's like, what am I doing? No. We're going to do it this way.
Well, that's normal.
Yeah.
That is normal. You know. But are you still enjoying it?
Oh, I'm enjoying it a lot.
That's a good thing.
Oh, I started off the second book a little bit different than this one. Because this one, the first words out of his mouth are, there's some things you just don't do.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to explain, putting the principal's car on the roof, setting fire to the football field, blah, blah, blah. This one started different. Because I don't want to start each book the same way.
Right. I don't know. It could be interesting.
Good. I also needed like an opening line to like get him awake and get him into gear.
Yeah. And periodically you have to wake a character up and make him go.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Of course, now I know how to make him wake up. So I just watch Batman, or I think it's Sherlock, because he also wakes up when I'm watching Sherlock, or Flash. It's like, okay, and there's my character, and I go start writing.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun watching your journey.
Well, thank you. I hope that there's many, many more that still entertain you guys.
Well, I have enjoyed watching it as a reader. I have enjoyed watching it as one of the other mothers.
I have like 4.
It's with a great sense of pride that I get to sit here today and talk to you about this.
Wow.
And watch the journey that you're on and celebrate it with you.
Thank you.
So, anytime you ever need me again, just call.
I
I'm
will.
always available. Always available, it seems like. But, it's one of loves of being retired.
All right. Well,
Y'all go drink tea, read the book.
yes.
Read the book, and then send her a text that says, "Where's book 2? Just keep after her. We'll get it." She told me by the end of the year.
Hey.
She lied.
I am trying, but
Chapter 4. How many chapters are in that book?
30.
Thank you. I'll be dead.
For those of you that are wondering where you can find my novel Dark Side, you can get it on Amazon, and it's also on Amazon Kindle.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us for what hopes to be one of many tea and book talks. For any suggestions as far as books for us to read, please put it in the comments down below, and we will get back to you. Thank you so much, and have a happy July 4th, and be safe, everyone. Bye.
Happy 4th of July. Wear your mask.
Yes, please.
Wear your mask. I want this over with before I'm dead.